folks, welcome back to Rule of Thumb. Today I'm bringing you along for another canning project. I told you I got lots of canning to catch up on. So today I'm going to do ground beef, and I'm going to can mine in 1.5 pint jars. So they're going to can for the time of quarts, which is 90 minutes. So I'm going to get everything together here. I'm going to reposition you so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll show you how I can ground beef. Again, this is another simple, easy, quick canning project. I already browned up my ground beef ahead of time, so I have all that stuff done. So all I'm going to do is get it into the jars. I'll show you what I do as far as what I put in my jars, and then we're going to get them in the canner. We're going to have some ground beef on the shelf. So I'll bring you back when we get repositioned here and show you. Okay folks, welcome back. So you can see I got everything laid out here. I got all my jars. These have been freshly washed in hot soapy water. I've got my funnel, I've got lids soaking, and a little bit of vinegar on the side. Over here in this bowl I have got all the ground beef that I browned up ahead of time. So what I'm going to do is get these jars filled up. I'll start over here. And just gonna start loading some hamburger in here. Maybe if I make this a little closer. So now, what I like to do is get some ground beef in there and get some water, some hot water, and then I forgot to get out my special ingredient here. Alright, so what I use is this. I got a bunch of this on sale at one point, and so it is sodium-free granulated broth and seasoning. This is the beef bouillon flavor. And so it has the maltodextrin in it, which I feel the maltodextrin is what keeps the ground beef texture. You know, sometimes when you can meat, the texture after the fact can be a little off-putting. So for me, I like to use the maltodextrin because I feel like it helps maintain the integrity of the beef and the texture that you want when you cook it. So what I do is I load my jar with some ground beef, and I use my little debubbler here, and you'll be able to see that these jars are all the way here. You can see the ground beef will slide down some when you do that. Okay, so then I take a little packet of my bouillon here. I put that in there, and then I take my hot water. I fill up my jars to just the top of the meat. And so at this point I can see I can get just a little bit more in here. And you don't want it to be too full. I mean, you want to be at that 1 inch mark. So I'm going to run the debubbler in here again. And this is one of the advantages of using the 1.5 pint jar is you don't have to have it packed super tight. So a pint jar, if it's packed tight, will give you a pound of ground beef cooked. So this allows me to still get a pound, maybe a little bit more, in the jar without having to pack it so incredibly tight. So you can see here, might actually need just a touch more water. Okay, so I'm right there to the 1 inch mark, which is the bottom ring of the jar. Am I there? Yes. Okay, all my ground beef is under the liquid. I am going to take a piece of paper towel, and I got some vinegar here in my bowl. Make sure and clean the rim because you want to make sure there's no fat from the ground beef. And then take my little wand here, and we'll get a lid. And we'll take a ring, fingertip tight, and we got a jar ready for the canner. So, that's number one. Now I can get 8 of the 1.5 pints in my canner, so I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these filled up and get them into the canner, and then I'll come back and tell you what we're going to do from there. Hi folks, welcome back. So I ended up having enough ground beef to get 3 more 1.5 jars, but I wanted to get a full canner, so I had a brisket in the refrigerator that I picked up that was on sale, so I went ahead and cubed some of that up, and I got 3 more 1.5s of brisket and a quart of brisket. So as you can see here on my stove, I got 2 canners going. The one on the right is a Miromatic that I picked up at a estate sale, and as you can see, it is a gaugeless pressure canner, so I have been experimenting with that. And then the one on the left is my trusty Presto pressure canner, which is working its way up to pressure right now. The Miromatic I did vent for 10 minutes once I got a steady stream of steam. Then I put my 10-pound weighted gauge on and bring it up to pressure. And you want to get it so that, as you have seen here in this short amount of time, it will rattle a couple times every minute. And that's pretty much your sweet spot of where you want it. And then my Presto, when I get steady stream of steam out of that, I will vent that for 10 minutes as well. And then I will bring it up to the 11 pounds of pressure that it needs. Both of these are going to run for 90 minutes because I do have 1.5 and or quarts in them, which is the time needed for meat is 90 minutes. So I'll bring you folks back when it's all done so you can see the finished product and show you how it turns out. Well folks, here we are. We ended up getting 10 1.5 pints of ground beef and 3 1.5 pints of brisket and 1 quart of brisket over here on the side. You can see some of these are from the first canner load, so you can see the ground beef has started to settle down to the bottom. And this one is one that I just took out of the second canner load. I did have a jar break, which I have not had in a long time, but it happens when you reuse jars. A break can happen. It just is part of the game. So I was sad that it happened when it was ground beef, but you can't control when and where it happens. So that was what I got done for today. Again, the ground beef or the brisket was just something I did kind of at the last minute because I wanted to get a second full canner load, and that is literally just brisket that I cut up and I put into the jar. I did the same thing with the beef bouillon and hot water that I did with the ground beef, and it helped me fill up the canner. So that was today's project. I hope you folks enjoyed this. If you did, please come back and see us again soon. As always, I hope you had a great day. Take care.